ask you a question, Travis.
All right.
A very important question. How familiar are you with the Muppets?
Yeah.
Do you think Miss Piggy is a freak in the sack?
I'd say she is because she always has a fist up her ass.
Well, like,
Boom! There goes our PG-13 rating.
women I've known that have been overly aggressive have been like kittens in the sack. I feel like Miss Piggy would probably just like lay there and be like, "Do your terrible things to me," and then you try to do something outside of the norm, and she'd be like, "Whoa!" and then start hitting you. I just don't think she'd be that freaky.
Well, I prefer not to think about fat people in bed, so
I think what we should do is we should each buy Miss Piggy dolls.
I don't think that's going to happen ever.
And then we should like see what happens. See, have a couple of drinks, see if one thing leads to another, and see which one of us is right. If she just lays there and takes it, or if she like goes to work on you.
I'll compromise and I'll just eat some bacon.
Oh yeah. One way or another, there's pork in your mouth. Oh
yeah. Well,
hello and welcome to this week's episode of Two Trolls and a Brew. I'm Samus. He's Travis. This week's title: Brexit and other things I don't care about. Travis, what's this week's subtitle?
The new drafters, they're impossible. Like, just to read, it's so garbage.
It's true. It's very true. When people are new and they don't understand how to read signals and they don't know how to give signals, it's very confusing. But it's a skill that you have to learn because some people intentionally throw signals off. Some people are good. They'll play bait and hook and numerous other games with you.
No, because the two people. So we had 2 6-man pods because that's what everyone agreed upon. And it was me and 2 other, I don't want to say, I'll say it was 3 experienced players and 3 non-experienced players.
Okay.
And myself and the 2 other people, we all had cognitive decks, while the other 3 guys just kind of like, they just seemed to just grab shit, and it just threw off everybody's reading.
Well, I think for your first couple of drafts, that's pretty normal, and it's actually not a bad strategy to like soak up rares to kind of pay for your draft. I assume most new players kind of have that mentality.
Even the rares got passed. I got passed a thing in the ice by one of the dudes.
Well, clearly, they're exceptionally skilled Magic the Gathering players, and you should just,
That's why they went 0-3.
I mean, sometimes skills are different in different places. Don't judge them, you bloody judger.
I will judge them all I want. Even the lady who's only been playing for about 6 months was a better drafter than them, and they've been playing for years. They just don't draft.
Well, again, it's a skill you have to cultivate and learn. If you have any desire at all to be a good Magic player, like try to go to a pro tour or anything like that, you have to learn to draft. It's just a requirement in the current competitive environment for you to become a drafter. You can do a lot of things. You can get reasonably far, like you can do GPs and stuff like that. But if you want to get in the big leagues, you have to become a good drafter. And that's often the Achilles heel for a lot of people. Like you'll hear about people who are like a certain format specialist and they're like amazing. They'll like go to a pro tour and they'll be in the top 25 people or something, and it's because they won every single modern.
But yeah, they're like 9-0 day one.
Right. And then they just get crushed the next day with in the draft format or whatever. So
yeah, I mean, me personally, it's easier to pick up a deck that's good and just excel at it and finish, strong. So I don't understand why people grind that when they should grind drafting.
They probably should, but there's something to be said about gaining that experience in a format, in a deck in particular. Like, I don't know, it's a thing. I respect when people put forth effort. Maybe they're like, well, I'm not interested in like trying to win a pro tour. I just want to go and top 8 a GP, or just go and make a pro tour. Like, you don't have to draft it to get to the pro tour. You have to, if you do like a standard PBTQ and then a standard regional or something, you don't have to draft to get there. But it is a skill that I think everyone should take some time to at least become familiar with, because what happens on those days when you want to do a draft, or that's all that's going on, like you go out of your way to go play Magic or something, and that's the only option, and it's either that or go home. So you should at least be reasonably capable. And to me, it's the funnest thing.
Drafting?
Yeah, that's the funnest, most skill-intensive thing.
Yep.
But not everyone sees that way. Some people feel sealed is more skill intensive. Some people actually feel like constructed events are take people to the max. So
so in order of skill and level of difficulty, draft is definitely the most skill intensive, because you're literally at a table of at least 5 other people, and you're trying to make a deck out of things they are taking away from you while still trying to take the best things. Sealed, I think, in my opinion, is the second most skill intensive, because you have a certain amount of draft pool, or like card pool selection. And hold on one minute.
Pikachu.
So yeah, like you have an extremely limited pool of cards, and honestly I think sealed is more about luck and synergy than it is getting bomb cards. Then constructed, with the way that everyone posts all of their winning decks online, it's the least skill intensive, at least in standard, because you're really not going to have that many decks to compete against as you would in, say, like Legacy or Modern.
I don't know if that's actually true anymore. I was just we did a PPTQ this weekend, and there were a lot of decks there for standard meta. And when I sit down to play, first of all, I've already taken the whole of the standard environment and kind of whittled down into the couple of things that I want to play, right? So now I'm thinking about that. And then I have to think about what my opponent wants to play and how they might go about. And we have certain people who make it easy because they're going to play what they perceive to be the best deck. So that's why I spend all that time like looking at, the big sites and what other people think is the best, so I can judge where these people are basing their opinions from and come up with counter strategies to those best things, even if I don't necessarily agree. But then, like, I watched a guy that I've really come to respect. He always is one of those guys who puts the best deck together, what he perceives to be the best deck, or whatever's doing well for around the period of time that he's sitting down. And he makes his notes that he's allowed to have, and he really studies that deck, and he really does basically master that deck in a short period of time. Now, if you throw a big enough curveball, he really can't deal with it. But you have to throw a big curveball because he's done all the research around that deck. he may not have as many reps in as somebody who put their own deck together or whatever, but it doesn't seem to matter. I don't know. We were teasing him that he's cursed the top 4 for all these PBTQs lately because basically, I think out of the last 8 or 9, he's top 4'd all but like 2 of them. And then this last weekend was his first day to break, and he broke into the finals because the guy in the semis just scooped to him, so he wouldn't have to play the game 4 match. He's like, you know what? Go ahead, you can have it, and scooped him into the finals just to break his curse, as it were. And then he got destroyed by just the luckiest luck sack that ever lucked in the world, which we'll get to later. Right now, we need to get to Control Cards of the Week, which you have one listed. I haven't listed one, but I think it's because I wanted to kind of combine that with a little bit of looking at the spoilers, the Eldritch Moon spoilers. So, Travis, would you like to go first, or would you like me to hit my Troll Card of the Week?
I'll go first.
Okay, hit us with your best.
Inverter of Truth.
So if I remember right, Inverter of Truth
is awful.
Takes your library and exiles it, and then takes your graveyard and makes it your library.
Yeah.
That can be good.
So I plan on, I don't want to say a dredge, but a Golgari graveyard deck based around tokens. And the way I'm figuring it's going to happen is off of Crawling Sensation and the Gitrog monster. And basically just drawing my deck out and milling myself with just a bunch of, awful cards just to throw things away. And then starting back over with Inverter of Truth, and I don't know, hopefully
This
just...
plan sounds terrible to me.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you. Luckily, F&M is really cheap, so it's going to be fun.
Well, that's the goal, right? Have fun.
Yeah, and irritate the serious people.
I agree.
But yeah, so that's what my plan is to mill myself out and get a ton of tokens.
I like it. I like it a lot.
And then start over with the inverter.
Sounds good. So,
sounds bad.
I've been looking at these blink things, right? The blink cards for the modern format and stuff like that. And I even went ahead and I picked up my playset of Restoration Angels.
Right.
And today I'm checking out MTG Salvation to look at spoilers, so we have something to talk about on the show. And they've spoiled the card Long Road Home. Familiar with this card at all?
Nope.
So it is a white and a colorless instant. Exile target creature. At the beginning of the next end step, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control with a +1/+1 counter.
Okay.
So if you need something just gone till the end of turn, so you can alpha swing and win, boom. So it's a very removal spell. If you need something to like recycle a into the battlefield trigger and make a creature even bigger, boom. Like these are the kind of cards that I really enjoy. Momentary Blink was one of the cards that I really, really enjoyed. But this one, I think, also has a lot of potential. And it has that advantage of it returns at the beginning of the next end step. So if you need to do something really crazy, right, you can time it in such a way where like the creature is phased out for quite a while, to be really honest. Like a whole turn, essentially. So you can do something like exiling your creature in such a way where then you have time to make a wrath. Like say you only have 4 mana, but you can pop this thing after the beginning of their end step, and then you'll untap, have your 4 mana for the Wrath or whatever. Save your guy, plus it comes back bigger. I got a lot of uses out of effects like this in particular. It's also nice to have it return instantly, so there are downsides. But like I said, I think you can make more of it like this. I don't know. This is just a card that I think is right up my alley, but a lot of people tend not to kind of be excited for this kind of effect.
I like blink effects.
In the statement, moving on.
Yep.
Or no, do you want to exaggerate on that at all, or
no?
Okay. Well, fine. Let's see what's next on the show notes. Oh, luck sacking your way to victory is a thing. All right, so we have a player in our area who, regardless of how much I watch this person play, I am 100% convinced this person is one of the worst Magic players I've ever seen. Okay? The decisions are always wrong. There's the capability or the possibility to win in a fast, efficient, and low-risk manner, often sitting either in the hand or on the board or whatever. And somehow this person takes the completely different path, gets lost in the wood, and basically somehow manages to do exceptionally well in every tournament he goes to.
Who is this?
I'm not giving out any names.
Put it in the show notes so I can laugh.
I can't even. I'll tell you after the show. But it is just frustrating to watch, like, to nobody's business. So I judged this Magic tournament this last weekend, and at different points of the day, I looked in on this player, and this player was just, it literally made my head hurt watching this player play. And the problem is I'm going to give an example of something, and if this person ever sees or hears this person is going to know exactly who I'm talking about, and they'll know, and they'll be insulted. And I don't want them to be insulted, because I am impressed with their ability to, like, get there, even though the path that I see is different, shorter, and more efficient. It just is absolutely insane. So I'm going to give a couple examples of things that this person did. This person attacked, right? Attacked into a player playing like one of the Bant humans or Bant Collected Company decks or whatever. Attacked into the opponent. The opponent plays the Flash Angel. I can't... Avacyn?
Yeah.
With the Avacyn's trigger on the stack to give invulnerability or whatever it is, not once, but twice in a row, used an Atarka's command from their hand, pumped their creature, and fought to kill both creatures. So 2 for 1 themselves twice in a row. And then proceeded to not flip a Jace and instead use another Atarka's command to make Jace +1/+1 to make it a 1/3, and proceed to beat down with a 1/3 Jace for ages to get the opponent within striking distance of other cards in their hand. As opposed to playing something like this person had the 3/3 that with Flash that comes into play, taps a creature.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of casting like that to tap the Acroma in response before blockers were declared and just getting in for huge amounts of damage, instead they 2 for 1 themselves over and over again. Still won those games. The only game I saw the person lose all weekend, basically, was the person goes, "Oh, I have to get this specific card to win," and then didn't draw it and scooped when this person was not dead. Like, he was dead within a turn or two, but he had some turns.
Right, he had a chance to stabilize, but then it's like,
Not really stabilize, more like hold off until he got the. This person was playing numerous wrath effects and decided he had to have Declaration in Stone to win or to stabilize. And had a Jace, had a Nissa, flipped over. Didn't do anything. This person, again, I'm not going to give any names, facing down, I think, 4 creatures from his opponent who was playing mono white humans. Played the Dustwatch Recruiter, then a land, the 7th land, then a flip Nissa, did not tutor up a forest, played Jace, and played like another creature. After deciding he had to have a specific card to win. So I don't know. I just
you got nothing.
I literally watched this individual play and just like I do not understand this decision tree at all. It got to a point eventually in the night, another person came over and asked me how things were, and I kind of shook my head, and they just went, "Oh, you watched so-and-so play, didn't you?" I said, "Yes." And they said, "Okay, I understand." So it's a thing. Like, sometimes it's just you're going to win that tournament. You have to be running hot to win a tournament, and it's not always skill based. Often it is just it's your tournament to win. You can do no wrong. That's what happened numerous times this weekend watching this individual play. And I was just like, wow, I do not understand how this keeps happening. It's like, oh, if he does this and this, he just wins within a turn.
And nobody stops him.
And instead, it was just I'm gonna wander on this over here. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna burn this card to not win.
Hey guys, do you see that bear over there?
I can't explain it. It was an aggravating weekend of Magic for me, to be really honest. And I was just judging. I wasn't even playing. I was just watching people play Magic, and it was incredibly frustrating for me. People that should have won Magic, won games, didn't. Just didn't. One time, one last thing that this person didn't do. Sylvan Advocate. 2-6 or 2-3, right?
Mm-hmm.
With Vigilance. The opponent was tapped out except for a Knight of the White Orchard, which is a 2-2 with first strike. Completely tapped out in standard. Didn't attack. Like 3 turns in a row. And then ends up having a block with a Sylvan Advocate to stay alive, not to stay alive, but to soak up some damage. The opponent was like at 6. And no, it is not the individual you just Facebooked me.
Okay. Well, then that makes it even more frustrating.
Oh, it's so frustrating. Anyway, I didn't want to get too deep into it. It's just as the independent person watching, it was frustrating. I can only imagine what it was like to be on the other side, being the the opponents playing this person, especially when you do something like see their hand and you know what they can do, and then they do something that makes no sense at all. I watched an individual. What's the blue card? You pay like a blue and X, and then you reveal the top card, and they make two piles, and they pick one.
Epiphany at the Drown Yard.
Yes. I watched an opponent.
X+1.
I watched an individual play it for 1 or for 0, made a pile of nothing, and flip Nissa. The opponent knew that they had won, and they're like, "Oh, I've won. It doesn't matter. You can have the Nissa. Take it." And this was a friend of ours, Tyler, so I feel like I can tell this story. Tyler goes, "Okay, are you sure? Because you could give me nothing." And the opponent goes, "No, you can have the Nissa. Who cares? Like, you're dead." He goes, "Okay." And he picks up the Nissa, plays Clutch Occurrence, makes the token, puts everything back in his opponent's hand, and then the next turn, the opponent plays, I don't know, something. Tyler goes Nissa, plays the land, flips it over, and proceeds to crush the opponent to death.
Good.
Flip Nissa.
Good.
And the opponent just was like, I didn't know what to do.
I don't know. Probably not give your opponent crap.
And his friend came over and sat down. He's like, "What happened? Like you were winning." He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna die to this Nissa." He's like, "That Nissa that you didn't have to give him?" "Yeah."
Do you see where your problem came from?
I mean, I think Tyler would eventually won that match anyway. I think it's a good matchup for him. It was black-white control. But what was really funny, on turn 2, the opponent played Transgress the Mind.
Yeah.
And exile to flip Nissa on turn 2.
They knew it was a threat then.
Right, exactly. But the had a Gideon, a couple of different tokens, and something else. So the opponent just was under the impression, like, whatever. No matter. And they knew he had the Clutch Occurrence in his hand. They chose not to take the Clutch Occurrence on that turn. So he's like, "Oh, whatever. Clutch Occurrence doesn't bounce Planeswalkers." Bounce both Planeswalkers to his hand. Never got to replay them because Tyler went to town on his ass. It was a great game of Magic to watch. Not from an independent judge point of view, as a friend of the person. Like, you deserve to win that. Unfortunately, Tyler missed out on the top 8 by inches, so it was pretty sad. But like, I think our finals were 2 mono white decks,
two different decks.
2 different. Well, okay, so one was mono white humans. One was red white humans that basically only ran the land and the goblin that give everybody +1/+0 and haste.
It's the mono white bushwhacker.
Right. Now, like, one version ran those cards in the sideboard, the other version ran them in the main. So there was a few little differences in them, but they were basically the same. We had 2 different Bant decks based around Collected Company. One was humans, one's a little older version. Let's see, what else did we have in the top 8? We had like 1 big mana ramp deck in the top 8. I don't know, I felt like we had at least one other thing. But, I mean, it was a pretty diverse field of Magic decks in the top 8. It was a reasonable field in the Swiss. We had enough people to go 5 rounds. It was kind of sad that we couldn't go more, but I felt 5 rounds was long enough for my personal day, as it was my 17th wedding anniversary. Congratulations to my wife for keeping me around that long. I know it's
for dealing with you.
I know it's a challenge most days. So yeah, I don't know. It was a long, interesting, and complicated weekend for me.
So, speaking of satisfying things and judges and everything,
Oh, okay.
um, I satisfied myself by making our level 2 judge incredibly salty this weekend. And did you happen to see my Planeswalker Society post?
I saw your post, but I can just imagine how you covered him in salt this weekend.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
Right
I
on
was
this.
I was running the Triskaidekaphobia again,
Mm-hmm.
and uh, let's see that first round. I got the dude up to 23, and I completely emptied his hand, and I had two Triskaidekaphobias on the field, and then I played Remorseless Punishment when he had no creatures, no planeswalkers, and no cards in hand. So he had to go down to 13. And then he was like, all right, well, I guess I either need to do 5 damage to you or, I lose. So, well, he lost that. But then I was playing against the judge, and he got so salty because he's like, how do you keep drawing cards and blah, blah, blah? How do you have all this stuff and I don't have anything? I was like, well, with the exception of, Triskaidekaphobia and Read the Bones, all 30 other spells in my deck are removal.
Well, it turns out you draw a card every turn.
Well, yeah, you draw a card every turn, and then when you have things like, what's it called? Read the Bones, it lets you draw 2 more cards, and then Ob Nixilis lets you draw even more cards.
Right.
And then simultaneously, when I have 15 discard spells in my deck main board, they tend to not have as many cards.
That's right. I was actually thinking about your deck quite a bit this weekend. As I was watching other people play like these black-white control lists or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and like the mono-white humans. And the more I think about it, the more I think like your colorless black like control deck is actually probably like one of the better options in standard right now.
Right.
I don't know about your specific 75 because it is running Triskaidekaphobia, which as we know is terrible.
Oh, yeah. No, I will not disagree with that, but that's why I'm playing it.
Right.
Because it's funny.
The idea that, okay, so on turn 1 or 2, I'm going to make you discard a card and get an idea what your plan is.
Well, not just discard, but exile.
Preferably exile, but you can't always promise that you're going to exile. Between like duress and
Transgress the Mind.
Transgress the Mind, you have 8 discards you can cast on or by turn 2.
Right.
So you should be able to guarantee a hit then.
Right.
So you have their plan. And then you do have a couple of things that like can hit for 2 cards, right?
Yeah, there's Mind Rot.
Yeah, like a Mind Rot type effect and something else, isn't there?
Well, there's also on turn 3 there's Pick the Brain, which is another exile. Which,
yeah, I don't know if... I mean, it seems okay. Like, I know that it's a good sideboard tech against certain things.
What? No, I mainboard it.
But, like, I think on turn... I would rather run the name a creature, exile all copies of it.
Yeah. I have
whatever that main. Is. Infinite Obliteration.
Yeah, I have one of those in the main and then 2 in the side.
So, like, I think I'd rather run that over Pick the Brain because there's only a handful of things that are scary in the black deck, in my opinion. So you like get rid of those handful of things, and who cares?
Right.
So like I said, you've got, let's call it 12 discard spells that you run, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've got the duresses, you've got the transgress the minds, you have the infinite obliterations, and then you have somewhere between 8 and 10 single target kill spells. Now, we'll get to those in a minute. Yes, we'll get to those in a minute. And then you run the neg 4 spell. You run 4 of those because you have so many things that it just eats that all of a sudden become indestructible for the turn or whatever. So you have 4 of those, and then you probably have 4 of the Hero's Downfall, Sorcery Speed, whatever the hell that thing's called. So you have those 8, And then for you run your Obnixilis, right? Which could be somewhere between all 4 and 2. I'm not exactly sure what the number is.
3.
And maybe, like I said, somewhere between 2 and 4, which happens to be 3 in your situation. I don't know. And then you run the 4 Thought-Knot Seers and the 4 Reality Smashers. And like on the top end, you run the 4 Remorseless Punishments. And then like for your lands, you get to run Mirror Pool. You get to run Council of the Scions, I think it's called. You get to run, like, I like that one. You also get to run the
Blighted Fin, which is
yeah,
another
yeah.
really great removal spell.
You could run Blighted Fin. I was actually thinking the big the land, the legendary land thing.
Oh yeah,
Westville
Westville Abbey. Yeah, I don't have enough. I don't have any creatures, so that would hurt
Well,
me in the long run.
it makes enough creatures, and it taps for colorless. So you get to run it, and then you also get to run as many mass removal spells as you feel like in the sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
So like in the sideboard, you could have 8 board wipes for the white deck, for the white weenie aggressive deck.
Yeah.
And like just never lose to the best deck in the format right now, because your Transgress the Minds could be bad, or it could hit their Always Watchings before they can cast it, and then everything else in your deck is good, basically. I mean, the Duresses are kind of but because they might also hit the Always Watching, though, but they put you on the game plan, which is the important part, and then boom, like, to me, you don't need anything more than that, really.
I know in the side of mine, I do have, and this is, like I always say, know your meta.
Sure. I mean, it is important.
But in the side, I have 2 Virulent Plagues, 2 Flaying Tendrils, and I did splash in 1 Mountain for 2 Crumble to Dust.
Yeah, I saw that you posted that you're using Crumble to Dust in your board somewhere.
Well, okay, so in my meta, everyone's using the lands, and those are so difficult to kill with Ultimate Price. Shocking, I know. But they're not difficult to kill with Grasp of Darkness, and they're definitely not difficult to kill with Crumble to Dust. So, and, when I was playing the Judge, so the first game against him, I just, controlled his hand, controlled the board. I just controlled everything and then won. The second game, pretty much the same thing, but I sided in Crumble to Dust because he had Needle Spires in his deck as his only man lands. And I knew personally that he was playing Naya Walker, so he was expecting to get all the tokens. And so when I play Virulent Plague, he slowed down a lot, which caused me to, stabilize and just get things going. And then I played Mind Rot, emptied out his hands, which gave me the opportunity to Crumble to Dust his Needle Spires. And when he was at 16 life with the Needle Spires exiled, he just scooped.
Yeah, I mean,
that was like that was his last his last out.
Right. I mean, I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I like this idea of this particular deck.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing it could let you do, I mean, obviously you got to put some card draw type stuff in there.
That's why Read the Bones and Obnixilis.
Well, you got Read the Bones, Obnixilis. You also have access to, I just looked at it and I was like, oh yeah, this is the Damnable Pack.
Yeah. That's a good way to
get
get them to 13.
Nice. I mean, it might be exactly the card that you need. Like, Yes, I played Triskaidekaphobia last turn. They're at 18. They think they're pretty safe or whatever. You know, ping them for a couple or they, you know what I mean? They're like at an odd spot.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's a thing. The other thing I was thinking is you could go a completely different direction. Also, you have access to Foul Tongue Evocation. But you could go a completely different direction with it, and you can go. So, is it Drana? I think
Yeah,
Drana is
the
still
emissary.
legal. Drana's still legal. Kalidas is still legal. Um, Liliana is, of course, still legal. And I watched an individual play. Guiltleaf Willower is still legal. But I watched a person playing. Is it Cruel Revival?
Yes.
I
That's
watched
the
them
one
play.
where you get a zombie back to play.
No, I think it's the one where if you have. Okay, no, it's not Cruel Revival. The Cruel Revival is the one that gets a zombie. Now, the one I'm thinking of is the Origins one that says if you have Spell Mastery, it gets like a +2/+2 counter on it.
Oh, okay.
And it just did so much work for the guy. Nomadic Summons. Put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control Spell Mastery. If there are 2 or more instants or sorcery cards in your graveyard, it enters with 2 additional 1/1 counters. So, like, that could be an amazing main deckable card in your.
Is that a rare?
It's an uncommon.
Sweet, I might have some. Oh, I know what's going with
Uncommon.
Crawling Sensation this week.
Uncommon with in Origins, and it's something that with Mirror Pool you could copy.
Yeah.
Right. So like you could run creatureless even and take their best creature after you deal with it, assuming they're also not running some sort of crazy control thing. And then you also have access to the card that makes them sacrifice a creature or a planeswalker.
To the slaughter.
To the slaughter if you really wanted to. So that gives you outs to things like, all right, well, I kill your board.
And that's a potential 2-for-1.
If you have the potential to make it work.
Well, if you have Delirium, they sacrifice a creature and a planeswalker.
Correct.
Yeah.
If you can get to Delirium. The other nice thing is you could basically run it completely creatureless. You don't have to run the Thought-Knot Seers and the Reality Smashers, although Reality Smasher is insane. Like, completely bonkers.
Yeah, I hear it's a good card.
You can run Risen Executioners, right? Run no other creatures except for it. So it can always be cast back again for 4. There's, like, no graveyard removal right now. All they can try to do is exile it.
Right.
And just go to town.
See, now, another thing I was thinking about, with the new set coming out, I was thinking about splashing blue and not having any creatures in the main board, but having them in the side. So that way they can't target it with, like, infinite obliteration or whatever. And then just bring it to your hand with the new, the new wish card.
Yeah, you know what? Let's put this deck stuff aside. Let's talk about spoilers for a minute.
Oh, okay.
And let's talk about Cokes from the Blind Eternities. Like, I'm actually excited for this card.
Oh yeah.
So blue and 2, you may choose an Eldrazi card you own from outside the game, or in exile, reveal that card and put it into your hand. Like, this is a very powerful card for blue decks. Like, a blue colorless deck now, I think, is actually really viable. Because, like, you're a little short on removal, like straight up hard removal, but I think you could still get there with, like, soft removal. You know, things that say, like, if this creature doesn't untap, or and just counter spells and stuff like that. Like, I think you could probably get there, and then run, like, 1 or 2 Eldrazi's in your sideboard, like 1 or 2 Reality Smashers, like 1 Thought-Knot Seer, and you could set it up in such a way that you can just go to town. Is there a way to self-exile? Oh, there is. Corpse Swept, right?
Yes. Wait. Does
Isn't
that?
that, isn't that
No,
what that?
that.
You like exile two card or two or a creature from your thing, and you get like a ×2. It's got to be a creature though. I'm looking.
No, Corpse Left. That one you like mill yourself for 2, but then you get a card back or something like that.
No, Corpse Swept is the one that it's an enchantment, a black and a colorless. Exile one or more creature cards from your graveyard. Put an XX black zombie horror creature token on the battlefield tapped, where X is twice the number of cards exiled this way. So yes, you could re-exile them out of your graveyard. So like if you were running like all colorless creatures, you could exile them with Corpse Swept back out if something happened and they were to die. And you get a token out of the deal. It's kind of cool. But you have to run in black. But I can't think of anything else that self-exiles out of the graveyard. But, I mean, it's an option. I think it's kind of cool. And I think in Modern, where there are Eldrazi tribal cards, I think it'll be quite good. I think.
Did you see Take Inventory?
Take Inventory.
That thing is going to be big in Pauper.
Draw a card, then draw a card, then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Take Inventory in your graveyard. Oh, actually, I've seen these before. That will be quite good. That's
Well, I mean, they kind of had those like creature based with Origins. Like there was the Fairy Miscreants where it drew a card for each miscreant in play, and then the Timber Pack Wolves or whatever got +1/+1 for each other one. I mean, they did something similar to this already.
I mean, hang on, I'm thinking. There's a card that has done. They've done this before. Accumulated Knowledge, but it was an instant then. Now Accumulated Knowledge drew equal to the number of cards. Then draw cards equal to the number of cards named Accumulated Knowledge in all graveyards. This one only takes it from your graveyard. But still, that seems great. No, I didn't see this card at all. This card's like 10 out of 10 would do again. The artwork on it's kind of terrible, but...
So, how do you feel about Meld?
How do I feel about Meld?
Meld, M-E-L-D. The new mechanic.
I really haven't done a whole lot with it. One of the cards that we wanted to talk about, I think, is Blessed Alliance.
Well, that's what you wanted to talk about.
That's what's the Meld?
It's when 2 cards make 1.
Okay, that's what that thing's called.
Yeah.
All right. You know what? I have a really good answer to this. Hang on one second. I'll show you what I think about this as a mechanic.
Okay.
Right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Oh, that is perfect.
This is what I think of when I think of this mechanic. And this is also, for a spoiler alert, for those of you who can't watch the video, this is going to be the Emma Stone gif of the week that goes with this podcast.
Yeah, that's a nice gif.
Oh God, let's not start this shenanigans again.
Well, then quit saying it wrong.
All right, I'll pull out the gif anytime. No, I think that I don't like 2-card combos in general. I don't even like 2-card combos that win you the game, right? And this idea that this is a 2-card combo that doesn't win you the game is bad. There is an exception. Okay? Hannaware Garrison.
Yes, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Battlements. With the exception of these 2 cards, none of the rest of these mechanics are good that I've seen so far.
Thank you
these
for
2 cards.
Thank you.
Are amazing. What the hell? What wizards are you thinking? Okay, so in case you haven't seen it, Hannaware Garrison is a red and 2 to make a human soldier token that is a 2/2. Whenever it attacks, put 2/1/1 red human creature tokens onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking.
Like this by itself, just this card by itself, it might it verges on mythic power.
I will totally rebuild the mono red. Maybe black red, maybe mono red. I don't know. The Impact Trimmers deck because of this card.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be Rakdos Aristocrats.
I don't know. I'm making no promises.
I do. I just said it.
Is that this thing is insanity.
Like
another 10 out of 10 card would do again. And this land is crazy.
Like the land is the weak part of the combo, and it's still powerful.
No. This land is insane. This land is absolutely amazing.
This card is going with Borgamos.
You tap a colorless to your mana pool. Whatever. Red and tap it, creature gains haste. What? That is bonkers, off the chart. Great. Like, sure, it's got this ability for 5 if you have this other thing. Who cares? Whatever. I don't care. It gives haste for 2 mana. That is crazy. Repeatable.
The thing that they make. The thing that they make is just insane too.
But who gives a crap?
I do.
Whatever.
It's a 7/4 with trample and haste that makes 3/2s when it attacks.
Whatever. Who even cares? No.
This guy.
If this ever comes together, you're gonna live in Magical Christmas Land all day.
Okay.
I don't care. I want the garrison. I want the land. And if I ever happen to get them both together and 5 mana, sure.
Boner City.
Sure, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. What matters is the fact that I have this 2/3 that makes extra 2 for 3 mana. Travis, it's a 4/5 worth of power and toughness for 3 mana.
If you can attack with it.
This
thing is going to eat so many lightning bolts.
Oh, jeez. It's going to be... I don't think I can play this thing in Modern. I don't think it would live.
Well, no. I'm just saying, even in Standard, they're going to find a way to put lightning bolt in, and it's just going to die.
Gabmic Bombardment?
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Also known as... I can't think what the card is called.
Shock plus X.
No, it has a name. These mechanics have been done before.
Did you see the Cemetery Recruitment? In a zombie deck, that's divination for 2.
What? You gotta be more specific. You're gonna have to narrow things down a little bit.
Okay, it's a black card.
The black card. Thank you.
Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If it's a zombie, draw a card. And it costs a colorless and black. It's divination for 2 in a zombie deck.
Oh, here it is. Okay. Let me reread this one more time. That's not bad.
That's incredible.
I mean,
in a zombie deck.
It's.
I need to put emphasis on that.
That's true. It does
in a zombie deck.
But yeah, I don't know that. So let's look at one of the cards that people apparently either love or hate.
Chilling Grasp.
No, unsubstantiate. Unsubstantiate.
Unsubstantiate.
It's the blue card. It's a blue and a colorless. Return target spell or creature to its owner's hand.
Yeah, this is like a...
I think this card is amazing.
What you call it? Vincer.
It is like a spell Vincer, yes. This is a Vincer ability.
This is Vincer without the body.
Correct. So you're for Vincer, you're essentially playing an extra blue and an extra colorless for a 2/2.
Yeah.
I like this card a lot. I know that some of the MTG Goldfish guys do not like it.
Oh, wow.
But I like, would you give up draw a card for the ability of Remand to bounce a creature if you needed it to?
If I need to, yeah.
That's what this says. That's what this is.
Well, yeah, I didn't say I didn't like it. I said I like it.
Well, I know. Damn it, Travis. We're arguing here so we can have the discussion that people want to hear. Give us a
No,
program.
we're arguing because you can't listen properly.
Okay. Well, we're supposed to argue because that's what people want to hear.
I don't think they do. I think they want to listen to me be right all the time, and you get frustrated.
I can't wait for you to come back to visit.
Speaking of frustrated, has Joe sent you any more decks?
No, but he did send us
idiot.
He did send us a question
Okay.
we will probably destroy soon.
So I also want to tell you that the Noose Graph Mob is going to go in the mono black deck.
Okay. It seems okay. It just seems like it's an awful lot of mana for.
It's going to be a one of.
Okay, that's fine. I think it's okay. There's a couple other cards in this thing though that I do want to touch on real quick that I think are probably pretty good. Gnarlwood Dryad. What do you think of this guy?
I like him.
I like him a lot too. He's a green mana for a 1/1 with Death Touch. Delirium. He becomes a 3/3.
You know, Delirium is like a crappy version of Threshold.
It is, but I think, and this may not be a standard card, but in Modern, this thing is going to be bonkers. Like, we go through all sorts of hoops to make 1 mana 3/3s in Modern. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But, like, this thing, it's so easy. You can almost always get a creature in your graveyard. Right? It's easy to get sorcery or instants and sorceries into your graveyard. It's easy to get lands. Boom, you're already there. Like a fetch land, a lightning bolt, and they kill some other creature beforehand, and you're basically there.
Right.
Like it just, this thing I think is going to be too good. How good it's going to be in standard, I'm not real sure, but I definitely think we're going to see this thing see some serious play, some serious competitive play. If they release like a full art version for like a Friday Night Magic or something, because this is the kind of card that they'll probably do that with, or they'll put in the dual deck or something with alternate art. Grab them. I think it's going to be a $high card. The other card I kind of want to talk about, and maybe you can, I don't know, save this card. Aurora of Emrakul. This is one of those merge cards, right?
Hold on, find it.
That's what that turnover symbol means. Like,
no, this one, I don't think. I think
like
this is a different. No, this is a different. No.
Means?
No, because.
Then like, what's his converted mana cost?
Well, this is just a single flip. Like if you look at all the meld cards, they have like a, it's kind of like halfway in between, and it takes 2 cards to do it. This only takes 1 card to do it.
What's its card that turns over?
Cryptolith Fragment. It's a 3 mana rock. It comes into play tapped. You can tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool, and each player loses 10 or 1 life. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, if each player has 10 or less life, transform it.
Okay,
and
well, this Cryptolith Fragment might be good, but this other side, this Aura of Emrakul, I'm not so sure. It's probably okay. But here's my question. This is my part that I have a problem with.
Okay.
This artwork. It's an Aurora of Emrakul, right? How come it looks like a demon or something? It doesn't look like Emrakul.
Because
it doesn't look like any part of Emrakul.
Yeah, but if you ever think of like auras and auroras themselves, they don't actually look like anything. They're just kind of.
That's even better. It'd be easier to put like wiggly things that look like tentacles that look like freaking Emrakul's tentacles. Instead, this thing looks like nothing. This is just crap. This artwork is a fail.
Well, this artwork is amazing.
Okay, the artwork is good, but it doesn't. You can't call it Aurora of Emrakul. The whole idea of an Aurora that looks like something is that it looks like something.
No, this
artwork is bad. This is the wrong artwork for this card. The Aurora on it should look like Emrakul. Done.
Well, no, the Aurora is in itself just a light show. So
Sure.
this light
But when
show
you
is
name it
supposed
a
to
light
represent
show of
Emrakul.
something, a light right? Should yes, it represents. It should look like Emrakul. If it's aurora of something, it should look like that.
It looks similar to an Eldrazi, not necessarily Emrakul.
Doesn't look similar to anything. Like
Oh,
if you
really?
look at
Go
it,
look at Eldrazi Mimic.
it's got like a triangular head.
Yeah,
with
like Eldrazi Mimic.
Chitinous claws coming out of its face.
Like,
it's got like a wicked three-clawed hand, a right hand coming out, and it's got freaking bat wings. It is a demon. It is a demon.
So what you're saying?
This should not be Aurora of Emrakul.
This right here is a combination of Batman, Eldrazi Mimic, a praying mantis.
If you were to say praying mantis man, I would agree with you. But no, this is a demon, not Batman.
It's an Eldrazi.
Just because it's got things like this.
No, it has the bat wings. You said so yourself.
Bat wings never go up like this, fool.
No, not in your opinion.
He's got demon wings. Or
well, then why did you call them bat wings?
Because I'm bad at describing things.
Yep.
Not bat wings. I don't know. They missed an opportunity. I think that they could have easily made this look more like Emrakul, and it would have made sense, and it would have been very flavorful, and it would be scary as hell. So instead, I look at it and I go, man, this isn't scary.
I think it looks great.
Well, it's very pretty.
Yeah,
but
that's what I care about. I don't care if it matches.
The artwork
should make sense.
Artwork should make sense. If a creature looks like it's flying in the artwork, it should have flying.
Why? Look at Goblin like grenade party or whatever.
If a creature looks like a goblin, it should be a goblin.
Even the ones that have flying?
Even the ones that have flying. If they look like they're flying or being thrown through the air or something, the artwork should match. Flicker Wisp should have cast as an instant. That's all I'm saying. Anyway, because it looks like it can. It looks like it has flash. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. I think this is going to be much better than the other set, in my opinion, I guess. Like, I feel like this has got a lot more potential. So shall we talk about Joe's thing?
Yeah.
All right. I like your hilariously. I like your hilariously brutal opinions about these cards working together for a brew I want to do. So I guess he's got an idea that these 4 cards somehow work together. And these 4 cards are Harness the Storm, Fevered Visions, Jor-El Rune Diver, and Finks's Tutelage. Joe, continue to cut yourself.
So
just keep cutting.
The first and third card work together.
Like this. Up and down. Not side to side. Up and down.
And then the second and fourth card work together. But 1 and 3 work really good together if number 4 is there. Your sighs of irritation are greatly pleasing to me.
There's so much wrong with this. It doesn't. I don't know where to begin. So I think you started summing things up pretty well. Like Jor-El and Sphinx's Tutelage obviously work together if you can cast multiple spells in a turn.
And that's what Harness the Storm is for.
Especially the ones that say draw a card.
That's what Harness the Storm is for.
Harness the Storm does nothing. It has never done anything. It will continue to not do anything.
Late game, it does work.
With the possible exception, right, of Take Inventory. You throw Take Inventory into this cluster, it changes everything.
Ooh.
It changes the entire scope of the game. If with the possibility of Take Inventory, it changes everything. Because if you can cast Take Inventory and put one in your graveyard, and then cast another one, right? And that goes off. Well, actually, the trigger would go on the stack first, right?
Yeah.
So you would draw 2, then you would draw another 2, right? So there's a possibility of drawing 4 for 2 mana with 2 cards, 1 card in the graveyard, 1 in your hand.
Now, because take inventory costs 2, right?
Yes, it costs 2.
So it's
whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell from your hand, you may cast target spell. Oh, you still pay its cost, so never mind.
Yeah.
This card is terrible. This card does not do what you want it to do.
It does if it's late game.
No, even if it's late game, no. Hell no. Double hell no. Hell no, put it in your pipe and smoke it, no. The answer is no.
So what you're saying is he should build a deck around the bottom 3.
Yes.
Fevered Visions, Jory, and Tutelage.
Even Fevered Visions, I don't think I want more than like 1 copy of.
Play it, Joe.
I think it's just one of those things that you play like 1 of. It's going.
Joe.
Don't play 4. The other thing you got to keep in mind, you're talking about 4 cards with a converted mana cost of 3.
Yeah.
Then what's left of your curve?
Left. Going up.
Going on up.
You got nowhere to go but up.
Bad plan. Like again,
it's a bad plan, Joe. Do it.
One Fevered Vision seems okay. Like you'd be better off running Splashing for Ob Nixilis, I think, than running Fevered Visions. Because at least Ob Nixilis you could get to the ultimate, which will win the game. This, sure, maybe you win the game eventually, but it's just not. This doesn't do it. This Fevered Visions is bad.
That's a great idea. 4 Fevered Visions with Ob Nixilis, and then make them draw to death with Damnable Pact.
Damnable Pact is an exception. Yes, you can.
Oh man, 4-color ramp.
This Fevered Visions, though, it doesn't hit them for each card over. It just hits them 1 time at the end of their turn once.
All right, Joe. Here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna build a.
You're gonna go to your kitchen.
You're gonna build a green ramp deck.
You're gonna find your favorite knife,
and you're gonna put in islands, mountains,
have a couple of drinks,
and swamps.
You're gonna fill up a nice hot bath,
and then you're gonna ramp into Damnable Pact.
Then you're gonna jump off a cliff,
and then you're going to force them to draw themselves to death.
But you're gonna have a parachute, and then
my story's
you're
over.
out. You're sailing over the canyon of the mountain, laughing.
You should get a hang glider.
Set your parachute on fire. You fall to your doom.
Oh, that took a good turn.
I'm just saying, this is bad.
Beautiful. Do it.
No.
Blue-red control. We believe in you, Joe. Don't let your dreams be dreams.
I've never believed in Joe. Not 1 time. And he's like giving me a ride home, and I still didn't believe in him. I'm pretty sure he's a figment of your imagination.
Set on this earth just to troll you.
Yeah, basically. Yeah,
I don't know. Going shortly.
I do actually. That's my wife was here to tell me the same thing. So, I don't know. Long story short, Joe.
Do it.
There you go. Long story short.
Long story short, Andrew Garfield stuck his tongue up Emma Stone's nose.
That's right.
Perfect.
Cut it out. It's terrible. I'm Samus. He's Travis. You can check out this podcast and all the previous podcasts at samusgrobo.com or at MTGA Cast. Also, MTGA Cast is in a process of a fundraising type event, or otherwise they're going to be shutting the site down. So if you get the website, or if you get the show through them, I'm sure you've already got all the information from other shows, because I think they announced it the day that we've recorded last week, so we missed it. And I wasn't going to go in and add a little PSA. But if for some reason this is the only show that you're listening to, and you want to continue helping us get out through there and other places, please take a second, pop over to MTG Cast and kick them $1 or $2 or whatever. Otherwise, you can send us an email just like Joe at the number 2trollsbrew@gmail.com. You can also follow us at Twitter. I'm Samus Grobo. He is Turtle Power 319. You've been tweeting a lot lately, actually.
Oh, well.
I like it. It makes me feel warm and fuzzy because all I do now on my Twitter is tell people when I go live on twitch.tv/SamusGarobo, basically. That's basically all we do.
I just screw around and say
I
things.
like it. You say inappropriateness. So I didn't pre-plan a game this week. So let's do a quick in bed with these spoiler cards. Or not in bed. A Marry Death Kill. Marry Death Kill. So, and let's do the ones that we think are really bad, or I think are really bad. So Bruna, the Fading Light, Gissa, the Broken Blade, and Nessa, the Voice of Nightmares.
Hold on, my computer decided to be stupid.
You want me to share them on you? I can do that. You know what? Let's just do it.
Okay, let's do that because my computer just decided to not want the internet to work.
Death to the internets. There we go. So Bruna, the Fading Light, is white, and 5 for a 5/7 angel that returns a angel or human from the battlefield to graveyard to the battlefield, has flying and vigilance.
And remember, that's a cast trigger.
That's a cast trigger, yes. Then you have Glissa, the Broken Blade. Also, that is a rare. Glissa is a mythic for white, and 2, flying, first strike, life link for a 4/3. And this is the one that has the trigger that says if you have Glissa and Bruna,
yep,
then they become Bristla, the Voice of Nightmares, which is a massive mess. I'm gonna say mess. Flying, first strike, vigilance, lifelink. Your opponent can't cast spells with converted mana cost 3 or less. 9/10. This thing is just a monster. So
now before we go on, I want to ask you this. How awesome would it be to have both Void Winnower and that Eldrazi Angel in the field at the same time?
This thing?
Yeah. They can't cast spells that have CMC 3 or less, and they also can't cast spells that are even.
I mean, I think that you're living in a magical Christmas land.
Thank you. Okay, so I would definitely kill the Angel Eldrazi.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, I'd kill that thing. That's
doesn't make you Randy in the morning?
No. The one that does make me Randy in the morning is go back to Bruna. Go back to Gisela. Go back to Bruna. Okay, so I'd kill the other thing, then I'd marry that one.
Glisla?
Mm-hmm.
Gisela? Is it because you've got pink hair?
Hell yeah, it is.
So then you would just fornicate with the brunette?
All day.
All day. Okay. So you and I are going to have a fight.
Well,
I think I murder Glissa.
I think you're wrong.
And the reason I murder her is because she's the one with the trigger that merges together this monster. So then I will marry this monster. But it'll never be because I have murdered Glissa. Which means all I get to do is hook up with Bruna.
All day.
All day.
Well, at least we're sharing the tang.
Sloppy seconds.
Dibs on being first. Sucker.
Oh, boy. That's fine.
That's how dibs work.
I'll just use a different hole. Plenty of holes.
That's why they have multiples.
Actually, they probably don't have any holes. They're angels. They probably don't have reproductive organs.
Well, they still got a mouth, so dibs on that.
And ears.
Idiot.
And ears. And ears, Travis.
Is it still celibacy if you do it in the ear?
I think so.
All right,
Pretty-
cool. Thanks
pretty
for that
sure.
information, Peter Griffin. Troll on.
Troll on, everybody.